Hey everybody, welcome to Save the Game Boy, a podcast for Nintendo and Nintendo fans that are part of my Nintendo Joe. Also a part of the Save the Game Media podcast group. I want to thank you all for joining me. As I do always, I take questions, I take concerns, and I like to try to bring them to everybody in a nice, tight little package that I do right here for you. I ask everybody in Discord every week, every other week. I try to do this. I try to make it fun, and we try to do some nice stuff. So right now, we are definitely going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, which we got to see for the first time from Nintendo. We've seen some views, we've seen some mock-ups, some 3D print representations from what third parties have been working on for making accessories for. But we haven't had an official picture or idea of what the Switch 2 is really going to look like. And the first thing I want to bring up on here is this is an amazing picture that Ty was able to share with us about the size differentials of the Switch generations. So the Switch Lite to the Switch to the OLED being slightly bigger than the Switch, all the way up to the Switch 2. Now, this thing is massive, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this day one when we get when we get to buy it. When I can do pre-orders, when I can buy it. Hopefully, when Nintendo does the next Treehouse on April 2nd, we're going to be able to do reserves that day. If you're going to be going for it, GameStop, there's going to be a line that day. I can guarantee you, no matter what location you're going to, people are going to be speculating and waiting that Nintendo's going to give us a price point and a release date on April 2nd. If they don't, people waited outside for nothing. If they do, you already know how it goes. Nintendo has close to about 20 million units that they're ready to ship worldwide. So they're using this aspect to combat scalping, because we saw how horrible it was with the PS5 situation. God forbid we can't actually get what we want to play with because people think they need to make a quick buck on things. Oh no, a $500 system for $1,200? Guess what you're getting for Christmas? Not a PS5. But we're looking at this in the Switch 2. We're looking at Nintendo knowing the market, knowing how things are going to be sold. They know what they're doing when it comes to this. They dealt with this issue with the Wii launch. I worked at Circuit City, and I remember people coming in when the Wii was announced. When is it coming in? When's the next shipment? When are you getting it? How many are you getting? When do I have to be here? And we would have people wait every Sunday morning just to ask if we have the Wii in stock. And then we started doing flyers to hand out. Yes, we have it. Here are things we recommend getting with it. Fill this out so when you bring it up front, we can get everything ready for you, because you're not allowed anywhere else in the store. They were allowed elsewhere, but if they wanted the Wii, they had to get up front. Me and a buddy of mine stayed outside of a Toys R Us in the freezing winter, taking shifts back and forth so we could stay warm just to get a Wii. These are things that build character that aren't really done too much anymore because of how many manufactured units are being done. This was technically done with the PS5. I don't think there was much being done on that front with the Xbox, because that was very readily available. But with the Switch 2 being what it is, and being the only console coming out this year, we may run back into this type of situation. But with the amount that Nintendo is putting up for grabs, we might be able to get one without much hassle. I know I'm going to be looking at Best Buy and GameStop, specifically on April 2nd, when they're about to announce things. But enough about that. The questions I've got this week are from Kyle, Silkinit, and some more from Ty. We're going to start with Kyle's question because I want to bring up our next slide. We're talking Donkey Kong. We're not talking Donkey Kong games like we were before. We're talking Donkey Kong and Mario Kart 9. Now, Kyle asks, do you think they'll make other designs to match the movies like they did with Mario Kart's DK? Excuse me. I think they're going to be utilizing the technology that they have with the Switch 2 in upgrading how these characters look. We're now moving to a more fur-centric Donkey Kong, similar to how Pixar was able to animate individual strands of hair when they were doing Tangled, rather than how they were focused on just basic articulating joints in Toy Story 1 and 2. Even down to Sully from Monsters, Inc. had individual, I think it was 300,000 hairs were individually placed in the Pixar, in the animation studio for that. So we're getting more of that type of quality with our characters, at least from what we can speculate from what we see on Donkey Kong. I mean, look at that. That's a good Donkey Kong. You can see the ripples in the fur. You can see how they did the brow, how his hair is done on the head, on the body, where everything fits neatly into place, rather than looking at a flat, matte texture that gives that simulation. I think we're going to see a lot more. I am going to agree, and I'm going to say this, that I think we're going to see a lot more of these more accurate depictions of characters, rather than just let's polish it as much as we can to make it look realistic. We're going to see more realistic graphics on the Switch too, especially with what we know for performance-wise on how it's close to a PS4 Pro, and far better than a regular PS4. So we're going to have a PS4 in our hands and a PS4 Pro on the dock. The best and easiest way I can explain it without getting into too much technical jargon, which was Silkenet's question. Silkenet wants a real uplift in performance on the docked mode. Other than that, he's okay with not introducing too much gimmicky stuff, which we're not introducing much gimmicky stuff, because the biggest gimmick here is the magnetic Joy-Cons, which is what we were already speculating and what we knew about. But the other thing we're looking at for a potential gimmick is that they might be able to function as mice. So if we're getting into Splatoon, let's say they release Splatoon 4 at some point, instead of using our joystick, we can now pop in that magnetic holder and use that as a mouse, which in all honesty will take that game way higher than it is. Everyone loves Splatoon. Square Enix tried to copy it with making Foam Stars, and that didn't do so well, sadly. I enjoyed it because it was PlayStation's property, but it really didn't do as well or capture the majesty of Splatoon. And we're gonna probably get a Splatoon 4 at some point, because look at how much it's been doing and how well received it is on the Switch for Splatoon 3. All coming from a game that was released on the, many people want to say, technical failure, the Wii U. How do we get such a beloved game from a Wii U? Because people had faith in it. It wasn't just, oh, look at this gimmicky game where you can play as squids. It was, look at this fun arena-style shooter that has like a nice, cool paint aspect where we're not focused on kills. We're focused on coverage. But then it became focused on kills, and it was still more fun. Another question I had from Ty was part of a statement that I was making about what we're going to look at with AAA developers. Now, from what I've been seeing, there are a lot of games that are to be ported over to the Switch too. We're looking at a ton of Activision, Sony, not first-party stuff from Microsoft. Well, maybe some first-party stuff from Microsoft because they're turning into a publisher. They're going to keep what they're doing with their gaming stuff, but once Game Pass takes off fully, we're going to see less and less consoles and more extra things. Oh, I can play my Xbox on just the TV. I don't own a system, but I own an Xbox controller. Oh, and I have a TV that has the Xbox app. Done. I have a PC. I have Game Pass on PC. Boom. Here we go. That's my Xbox. Microsoft is doing what they want to do. Sony's doing what they want to do over here. Nintendo's doing what Nintendo does best. Being themselves. If they want to change things up just a little bit, boom, magnets, rather than a sliding in. And from what I've seen from stress tests, that people are using 3D 3D represented models for, there isn't that much of an issue with the magnetic connector that's going to be breaking. And it also looks like on the back of the unit where you take the Joy-Con off, we have a more robust button that's going to be pressing against the inside of the panel to push it away rather than demagnetize. Which I'm looking forward to stress testing myself and seeing how other people will try to pull it apart, strongman style, or just see how good is this connector going to hold. How good is this going to lock it in place so that I can potentially hold it with one hand and then just kind of dangle it around. But are we really going to do that? No, we're going to put our thumb on the screen, we're going to hold it that way, and we're going to walk it over to our case. Or dock it immediately. Or, in some cases, as some of my other hosts are going to do, permanently leave it on the dock. So on this front, we have a ton of Switch 2 news coming out. We have a lot of fake news coming out as well. And I want you to take everything with a grain of salt. See what you have. Look to us. Any of the YouTubers that are out there that are looking at these things, take what we have with a grain of salt. Make your own speculations. Or, one of my favorite things to say here, join our Discord. Come talk to me about it. Drop some links. We'll talk about what they are. I might even take your questions and throw them on here. More than likely, I'm going to take your questions and throw them on here. Because everyone needs to see and understand. And no, not really just understand. Everyone needs to know what's going on. What are people thinking? What are we looking at? Are we looking at full Hall effect sensors for the Joy-Cons? Are we looking at a better format for the magnetic connectors? Are we looking at mice? Are we going to look at accessories? We don't even know what the cartridge looks like for the Switch 2. Is it going to have the little nubbin like they did on the 3DS? I kind of hope they do. I kind of hope they put that little nubbin in there so you can't put a Switch 2 cart in a Switch 1 without having problems or showing some sort of smoke. But that would be the obvious, easy solution. Make a little notch. Pop that cartridge in so it doesn't go in the old system. Rather than changing how things are drastically. Because we already know the biggest thing that Nintendo came out and confirmed with us, that it is backwards compatible. And I'm so happy for that. And so is my son. He is asking me every day for the last year, when's the Switch 2 coming out? And I'm getting more and more information to be able to share with him. And I showed him the trailer that Nintendo put out, and his face just lit up. Like it was Christmas Day all over again, just being able to see what it looks like. And I'm going to leave you guys here with that. I'm going to do a little bit short one today, because you can hear I'm not doing so well on my throat. Hopefully next time when I'm back on here, I'm going to be sounding a lot better. I'll have some more answers, some more speculations, and maybe some more extra questions that I need to ask to everybody else in the Discord. But for right now, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of the Save the Game Media podcast group. Thank you for being part of my Nintendo Dojo. And you know what? Thank you for being a Patreon. If you're not a Patreon, it's not much. We got a nice $1 tier that gets you audio for the videos a couple days earlier. You get access to our special monthly or bi-monthly videos that we do just for our Patreons. Am I missing anything else? Join the Discord. I pop that all the time. Join the Discord. I'm in there every day, almost all day. I should be working. Most of the time, I am working. I just field off questions when I have a little bit of downtime. And we're doing donations and starting things up again with new links for Extra Life. Now, you saw I was there again this year. We had more people on the couch. We had a nice, cool venue, which I really loved. And we raised a ton of money to help out an amazing cause. So if you want it now, you want to do it later, you want to wait for us, I'd still say pop a couple bucks on there. Do what you can to help out, because that's what we do. We just want to help. We want to be the best that we can be. And I want to say thank you to everybody here for the Nintendo Dojo. I'm out. Have a good week.